So this is Baruch Fleischman of the Tikkun Elevator Kolo, and we're back once again to go through Parshas Pinchas. We see some really deep stuff in Parshas Pinchas. We saw definitions and different descriptions of the chariot that was seen by Yechezkel, and we're still kind of working that way. But the Zohar, then the reason why we wanted to do this, I have to tell you that I was at once a dinner, and the host of the bar mitzvah dinner, knowing that I was interested in Kabbalah, sat me next to the people from the Kabbalah Center, if you know who I'm talking about. And their name, something like Grunberger. And it turns out he described himself, as we were talking, he described himself as a Haim Shayid, which means he's Hasidish. So they come from a Hasidish background, but they got in the idea, I'm not sure how, and then discussed that with them, of how they got into this, and they, trying to make money, really. Basically, they're trying to make a living off of their knowledge of the Zohar, and they sell it to different people who could, kind of buy it. And in the course of the conversation, he mentioned to me, just on the side, he says, well, this secret is contained in Parshas Pinchas. If you know Pinchas, he says, apparently he does. He says, if you know Parshas Pinchas, then you understand the Zohar, but there is very, very deep. So I said to myself, well, Parshas Pinchas. So how big could it be? Well, it turns out it's very large. It's going to take a little while to go through it, as we're going to continue to kind of just keep pushing our way through this Zohar. Now, the Zohar has many different ramifications, and the reason why I wanted to do one all the way through and keep trying is because I realize that when you're reading little sections of the Zohar, all of them are terrific. But you have to see, maybe in the end, that you'll come out of one parsha that you'll see all the different aspects. Well, the aspect going from the chariot that Yechezkel saw, the Merkava, now we're talking about the organs of the body. These are actually spiritual outlets. Before he talked about how the lungs work and the heart, and he talked about the liver, the source of the samach mem, and then the lobe of the liver or the gallbladder, and talked about anger and different kinds of things that are triggered and how they actually are responded through, that is, the spiritual aspect could be negative, response to the organs. So now we're going to a different set of organs, and we're right here once again. We're in Parshas Pinchas. We're on page Shin Kaf Bet. This is what the Zohar looks like over here, and we're at the bottom of the page. I know if you're looking at these, then you know that I write all over these things because, as one of my teachers once said, the Kane l'chol chaver, acquire for yourself a chaver, but he says Kane is another word for pencil. So it turns out that the pencil is a big help to me. I just love the pencil. So it's of Atam Mefarish as Sod Hadstomaka. So we're going to talk about the secret of the stomach. Shuha Hemsis. Now this is a part of the stomach. Different animals have some animals have 3 stomachs. The chicken, for example, has 2 stomachs, I think. So he goes on, Va'omer, it's stomacha. What do we say when we use the word stomacha? What do we mean? Because obviously the word stomach. The korkaban, this is also called the korkaban, which is the gizzard in a bird. Who can negate the korkaban haniklaf, which kind of like peels. You can peel it off. Ba'of, in a bird. Shehu simen tahar ba'of. So this is a sign of purity, of spiritual cleanliness in a bird. Okay, this is not my subject, so I don't really know about that. Now the Rabbanan want to go and explain this. Korkaban toichen. What does the korkaban do? It's a grinder. Grinds. It grinds as a meichel the food. Behind the ihun not el kula, that it takes all the food within it. Shehulokeches kol ha-meichel, it takes all of the food. V'shochek u'mashader l'kol levarim. It grinds it up, and it sends it out to all of the limbs of the body. V'hu shochek v'tochen noson, grinds it up. V'sholech matamsis ha-meichel, and the essence of the food, in other words, the part that could be used, the kol levarim goes out all to all of the limbs. Also with the karbanos. So let's look at it in a completely different way. He said the karbanos really are the food for the alyon, for the upper worlds. What does that mean? The hainu a varim below chovin. So he says like this, understand like this. What does it mean that it's food for the higher worlds? If the limbs of the Shekhinah, and he says, what does it mean, the limbs of the Shekhinah? Shehem Yisrael, it's us. I guess limbs means we're the agents of the Shekhinah. What she has to give, she wants to give to us. Hein beli avonos, they're without sin. Kagad in the same way that the rabbis have explained this, ka'ayin shipir shachomim. This milin the ma'akmim yaz karbana, there are things that can really hold back the essence of the carbon. Sheyesh devarim ma'akmim that hold back as aliyas a carbon, that is the elevation of the carbon going up to the higher place. Melahis kabalamalo, and it holds it back from being received up above. Vehe machshavos pegulos. Now these are thoughts which are called pigul. Now pigul, it's a concept that's very difficult to understand. It's very simply that the person at the time of the offering, either he or the Kohen, has the concept of eating it outside of the required amount of time. So it's like the carbon could be 24 hours or over through that day and into the morning. Say, for example, but you have an idea that you're going to save it and you're going to eat it someplace else, even if you don't actually do it, but this is your thought at the time. It's very difficult for me to hear this. There's something about this concept is very, very strict, and it causes a person to be cut off. It's like a death penalty for a person to have this idea. What it means, I don't know. But let's say the behem machshavos pegulos. These are machshavos that are unfit at the time of the offering. Habogemes es a carbon. They make a flaw in the carbon. The lo nachis lekabla le haku the shadar kudsha berichu lekabla the rona delay. Now we get a little more difficult, a little more depth here. He says what? Sha'az, because when there's a pagam, this is for example pigul, that you're going to use it at the time which is allowed it. So he's telling us here the time in which you eat it or offer you eat your portion. But that time that you eat your portion is an important time, that amount of time. It can't be over, and you can't have the intention, no matter if you eat it at the right time, you can't have the intention, you are the Kohen, to have it go at a different time. Now, what this means, I don't know. It's outside of the society in which I've been born. Sha'oz einu yored l'kabalosa, because then a malach will not come. HaMalach hahu shosholech HaKodesh Baruch Hu. The Kodesh Baruch Hu sends down a malach. This is also the concept of the Merkava. It's also the concept of the transportation system that brings the essence of the carbon and what it was supposed to do, the kabo as a doran shalo, so that, in other words, there is a malach that comes and picks it up. But this is all screwed up now if you have the wrong intentions. So there is a malach which is like as we saw in the Merkava of Yechezkel, that has the face of a lion. So he said, "Yesh carbon shebekabel Kodesh Baruch Hu." Kodesh Baruch Hu will receive and accept your offering ayidei arye through a lion, shuhu malach mechoil, which is a malach which is called mechoil, and it represents the right line, the line of Chesed. Kamo hatamed shel shachar, for example, the morning offering, when everything is fresh, shachar shebekabel al yado, that this is received through mechoil. V'gam kavasim shel shar kabanos. Also, when we see the lambs that are brought on other kabanos, miskablim ayadei arye. This is all received through the mechanism of the lion, the right line. The Idmar Bey, it says in regard to that, upenei arye, like the face of a lion, el hayomin la'arba'asim. It's on the right of all of the others. The Kodesh Baruch Hu, this is his metaphor, rides on this malach, and it leads him, brings him down to the place to receive the doron, which is the carbon. He rides on this malach, v'yored al yada the kabel as a doron, that is the gift that is given to him from the human being, shuhu ha-carbon. Viz the mekabel le al yadei shor. But now, at the same time, there's another kind of carbon. That kind of carbon is received by another aspect of the Merkava, which is the ox. V'yesh carbon shal kodesh baruch hu mekabel al yadei shor, through the ox. Shuhu Malach Gavriel, who's the Malach called Gavriel. Gavriel is the left line, the power line. Vu HaTamid Shel Bein Arbayim. In this, when do we get this? The Tamid Shel Arbayim. Bein Arbayim HaMiskabel Al Yada, which is received through the left line. Bein Arbayim referring to the Mincha offering, which is the time of Din. So now you're bringing this Malach, which is the side of Din, which is the left side, to be received it. V'chein Aparim Shel Shar Karbanos, and also the oxen, the bulls, and the cows, of all the rest of the Karbanos, Miskablim Ayadei Shor, are all received through this Malach, which was called Shor. This is a big secret for me, actually. To let you know that the Merkava has different parts to it, and now we're saying that the parts, which he's going through, first we have now the lion, now the ox. He says that these are actually agents of the Merkava. They're like mini Merkavos. But they only receive certain types of Karbanos, of what he's saying. It could be the same thing by our prayers. The Itmar Bey that said in regards to this, the face of the ox is on the left side of all of them. So that of all of these faces, if it is Derona, the Mekabel Le Ayadei Nasher, then there's another one that is received through the eagle. V'yesh Carbon Shal Kodesh Baruch Mekabel Oso Ayadei Nasher Shuhu Malach Oreo, which has another name, Malach Oreo. Ori, my light, is Kale, Chesed. This is the middle line. He said the Itmar Bey Upanei Nasher La Ba'atam. So amongst these four faces, you have the face of this eagle. The Inun Shehem Shtei Tzarim, that when the two turtle doves are offered, O Shnei Bnei Yona, are two pigeons. And Bavim Carbon Chotas Va'oila. So when you bring a Chotas carbon or an oila, HaMiskablim Ayadei Nasher, these are all received as they going upwards. They're received through the eagle. Let me see if I didn't screw up this page too much. I'm sorry. That's where we're at. And then you start going into the other limbs or the organs, and the insides, and the achalim balayla, which go on the mizbeach, and they're eaten up and they're consumed during the nighttime. Miskablim al yado are all also received through it. Now there's a fourth face that appears on the Merkava of Yechezkel, and that is the face of a man. V'yesh Carbon Shal Kodesh Baruch Hu Mekabel Yedei Adam Shuha Malchus. It received through Adam, and the Adam refers to Malchus. V'hainu Hadshuva V'lev Nishbar. This is what he says, that when the person comes to bring the offering, his tshuva, his broken heart, shetzarch liyos la'adam b'chakravas a carbon, that a person has to have when he's offering the carbon. Dechsiv Bey, it's written in regards to that, Adam ki yakriv mekem carbon la'Hashem, a man, and this is referring to the Malach now, who, excuse me, it means actually a person. Ki yakriv mekem carbon la'Hashem, a carbon for Hashem, for Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Biyukna diyukna dahaku deitmar Bey. So this is really, it says the word Adam in there. Ki yikrav mikem carbon la'Hashem. But suraso shall zeh shene'emer bo. So the image of this which is said about this, it says v'punus panehem, and the image of their faces is the panei Adam, is the face of a man. Chari l'chad. So now we have this idea. Ki Hashem nachis alayhu, that Hashem comes down onto them, the Kabul Darona, in order to receive his gift, which is the offering. Shehashem Havaya, that name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Yored V'rochev ala Malachim, and it rides on these Malachim, the Kabul as a Karbanos, to receive the Karbanos. Ki Arya is the Yud of the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Shor is the first Hey of the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Nesher is the Vav of the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and the Adam, which is the fourth face of the Merkava of Yechezkel, he says is the Hey Achrona T'Chavai. Now to me, this is like a lot of really beautiful information. Vis Chaven Tivayus. So let's see what he means by that. V'yesh Chayus Tivayus. So there are natural, native animals. Let's see what he means. Shehem Dalad Yisodas Ruchnium. And what are these native? What's the concept of this native thing? He says these are the four Dalad Yisodos, foundations ruchniim, which are spiritual. The spiritual foundations of the world come before the world, of course. Shehem Malachi Argaman, which are the Malachim, which are called Argaman, which is Ariel, Raphael, Gavriel, Michael, and the last one is Nuriel, and the rabbis always say that Ariel and Nuriel are really the same thing. So why do you have one at the beginning, one at the end? That's a question answered elsewhere. I don't remember. So he says these are the Malachim, are the Risodos that founded the world of the Olam Yesiah, which is where we are. So these malachim, shehem hamalachim hamonim al hagufim. So these are the malachim that are really appointed over the bodies. Shehem medalad yisodas gashmiim, and these bodies, they come from the 4 yisodos of the physical world. V'inun dachin, but they're pure. Ve'elach hamalachim heim tahorim mitzad the kedusha. They're all tahor on the side of the kedusha. But we're talking about this, and this is the foundation of kedusha. But at the same time, you have a foundation, Chaven, Dorsin. These are trampling animals, who are Misavim, who are tumadik, who are not pure. Ukenegdem yesh dalat chayus dorsos is trampling animals that claw and cut. Shehem malachim tameim, they are unclean animals. Shehem, these are their names: Avon, abomination; Mashkis, destroyer; Af, anger; Vechema is fierce anger. Malachim emanem al arba maririn. Now this goes back. You see, this is a basic way of understanding medicine in the time of the publication of the Zohar, and maybe way before that. I don't know. And it calls Malachim B'manam al Arba Mariran. They are Malachim who are appointed over the 4 biles. Shehem Malachim B'monam al Dalad Maros. That's what they call them. De'inan Mara Chivara, there's a white bile. Mara Sumaka, there's a red bile. Now this sounds like right, of course, is white. And red is left. Mara Yeroka, one is green. The green is the middle line. Mara Ukam, and there's one that's black that refers to Malchus. Shehem Mara Levana, Mara Duma, Mara Yukuroka, Mara Shachara. Shkol HaMachlos, and he says that all of the illnesses of people, Boas Mechem Kenizka the Ale. So the basic of that medicine, which I'm not sure is practiced nowadays, but the basis of that medicine is the concept of balance, that all of these must be in balance. Ve'is Chaven Sichlios, the Sachrin, the Corsia. Then there are these wise angels, these mental angels, these creatures, Sichlios, who are intelligent. Hamasavavim as Kisa Malchus, that surrounds the throne of Malchus. Vehem Dalad Malachi Argaman, and who are these Chayos? These are the Malachim, which are called Argaman. Again, Ariel, Raphael, Gavriel, Michael, and Nuriel. Sheba Olam Abriya. This is the name of the Malachim of Olam Abriya. So first, we've been talking about Yechezkel. We've been talking about the Malachim, really, of Olam Yetzirah, because that's from his position in Olam Yesiah, a tremendous vision that he was able to see beyond our physical world. But these Argaman are the Malachim. Now he's telling us these are facts, that they're the Malachim of Olam Bria. But then there's another set that are higher than them. You could move up to that, past the Argaman. You get into the Olam Atzil, and then they're above them. He called Bechinas Hagtam, because all of the aspect of the Zat of Zer Anpin. This is the Chesed Gevurah Tiferes and Netzach. Chesed Gevurah Tiferes and Malchus. Such a way of saying the Zat of Zer Anpin shall call parts of every single parts of. Heim bebechinas Dala Malachim Argaman. So that Chagdam, Chesed Gevurah Tiferes and Malchus, which means the right line, left line, middle line, and bottom, he says, are in every parts of, and they're called Argaman, because in every parts of there's an Atzilus as well. We have to remember this. The Inu and Chaven Alokio. So these are wild. These are creatures which are godly. Mesipta the Kedusha, and they come from the side of Kedusha. V'chein Chayas Alokios mitzad the Kedusha. Vis Chaven the Sitra Achra. Well, if we have in Atzilus, we have Malachim, which he says are called Chagtam, Let's just say for our purpose, understand right line, left line, middle line, and bottom. This Chaven the Sitra Achra, there's the creatures of the other side. V'yesh Chayo the Sitra Achra. This Koreas Elohim. My Chavros always tells me that in this case you pronounce the word Elohim Acherim. They're different types of gods, which means different kinds of dinim. V'nikvos Elohim Acherim. Kizel Umazeh As Elohim. That the real God, the God of our blessing, also made them. The Lokios the Kucha Barichu Chaim. The Lokos, let's translate this, the Lokios, let's call it godliness, Shel Kedusha, that has to do with Kedusha, Shehim HaSphira Shebechatzilus, which refer here now to the Spheros of Atzilus, are called Nikroim Elohim Chaim. They're called Elohim Chaim, living godliness, living gods. Ve'ilan Alokis the Kedusha, Alokios, and this is godliness of Kedusha. Moving on, Iskarias Alokios, Ve'ilas al Kula. So it says a Nikroim Alokios. In other words, it's the God of godliness. Va'alas al Kol, and it is the cause of everything. Ki ein so baruch hu mislavish bechem, because inside of these spheros of Olam and Sphira, of Etzira. So he's saying right line, left line, middle line, bottom. He says all of those. Ki ima ein sof, because they have the ein sof baruch hu is clothed within them. Amalei Adam al kol amasim. So we have this phrase. Is Adon? Excuse me, I said it wrong. It says the master on all of the deeds. V'hu hanoisim koach u'pa'ulot b'sfiros. He is the one that gives strength and the ability to act in the spheros. In other words, inside, it's coming from Panemius, which is the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, passing through the spheros, ultimately down to us. V'kol zina al zechel zine. Every kind goes to its own place. V'kol min cholek demino. This is what we said, is that you have a shore that comes to pick up certain, as a Merkava, comes to pick up the shefa from the left side. Ki malachi HaKodesh, shorim al tzadik. They rest upon the tzaddik himself. Hamisnageg b'kedusha, who runs himself, who accustoms himself in a kedusha-dik way. Malachi Sitra Achra Shorim al Misnageg b'tuma. So a person in the malachim from the other side, those names that he gave us before, they dwell on people who are really looking for tuma. A begin to is Elohim Acherim. So since we have a concept that there's other kinds of gods, Matuk writes, "V'lefi sheyesh Elohim acherim, shehu hasamach mem," which means the angel of the other side. That means the main pourer of badness into the world. Kenizka le'el. L'chein Amar Alai Huzevet says, or in regards to them, Zovech le'Elohim yacharim, the people who offer to Elohim, and I guess he's calling about Elohim Chebrim, he said it will be destroyed. Bilti l'Hashem levado, except unless you can only offer to Hashem Yisbarach. Begin to lo Yis'arev Elohim Chayrim, so that you shouldn't miss the Elohim Chayim, the living God, im Elohim Acherim, with other gods. They can't be mixed. Kedei shelo Yis'arev Elohim Chayim, im Elohim Acherim, so they shouldn't mix the Elohim that are alive with the other ones. And that's the Parshas Pinchas here. Today is actually the 4th day of Parshas Toldos. We're going to keep moving along through Parshas Pinchas. There's a lot here. Kol Tuv.